Welcome to our channel, $1 Million Made Easy, the channel in which we love to run numbers for people. I recently saw this headline: putting 6% of your income towards retirement could still leave you coming up short, which is a very true statement. What would make the difference? We're going to look at some numbers today. Let's just say you haven't been able to save a dime. Let's say you make $60,000 a year. Again, this is the first thing we need to figure out what 6% of your income is. In this case, let's say you're making 60,000, 6% of that would be $300 a month. Now, what we're going to do is run the numbers for every single year for the last 100 years, which is what we do on this channel. We use the actual historical returns for the S&P 500 over for the last 100 years, which includes the depression years. We project ahead what similar returns might do for you in the future. They won't be identical, and the resulting numbers are simply a possible range of what may happen in the future. So what we want to do is go ahead and update this. Right now, we currently have 1924 numbers shown because that's the one I got highlighted. So you got the 1924 returns going forward using those returns with $300 a month. Again, the returns going forward aren't going to be identical to this, but we figure there's going to be a range in there that's going to be within that range, including the worst case scenario, which would be 1929 and so on. So this is a 1924 numbers. Look at what $300 a month could provide for you, which is 6% of somebody making 60,000 after 30, 35, 40, and 45 years. Now, obviously, this is key, what your income is, so you know what 6% of that is, but obviously the most crucial thing is how much time do you have until retirement? If you're like 25, 26, 27 in there and have this kind of time frame, look at the kind of money. This was 1924 numbers, but we want to do it for every single year because we want to get that range that we were talking about. So we're going to go ahead and update this and show you what you might have given the returns for the last 100 years in the worst case scenario, the median, and the best case scenario. And we'll look at these different time periods from 10 out to 45 years. This is going to show us in a really eye-opening way what the difference is between, like, for example, 30 years and 40 years. The numbers are just mind-boggling. Now, here are the actual amounts that you would have put in black. This is what the worst case scenario, for example, in a 25-year period, putting in this 6%, you'd have 211,000 in the worst case scenario. But look at this, just 5 years later, these are the worst case scenarios. You have 431, which means it's double by just waiting 5 more years. And look at 5 more years, age 35, say you're 31, 32 along in there. Then the worst case scenario is 870,000. And then you go out here to 40 years, say you're 25, 26 or something like that. You want to work till age 67, which is full retirement age. The worst case scenario, you'd have $1.4 million. See the difference that can make, basically doubling all the way through it. And folks, this isn't the worst case scenario. The medians in these columns give even more encouraging numbers to that saving 6%, $300 of somebody making 60,000 can reach some really nice numbers. Now, we always need to take into account inflation, which we always do. We usually run it at 3% inflation. We can run any numbers you want. For example, this 1.217, which is the median after 35 years, would have the buying power of 432,000 in 35 years with a 3% inflation rate. But just look how these numbers grow. If you're 20, 21, 22 along in there, 45-year period, 978,000 for the median in this column. Now, not everybody's just starting out. Say, for example, I want to show you the difference. One more thing. I want to increase this by 3% a year just to show you the numbers that can change. Right now, we got 82% of the time making it to $1 million in a 35-year run. Let's go ahead and update this, just increasing that from 300 to 309 to 318. These numbers are going to change. Again, we're looking at the 35-year column, which the minimum, the worst case you're going to see is 870,000. Watch what happens by just increasing this by 3% a year, keeping everything else the same, 6% of what you're making. Instead of 870,000 in the worst case and 1.2 million in the median, watch these numbers change. Recalculating here. Should be putting us over $1 million. 1.116 million. 100% of the time getting to a million. 39% of the time color coded in blue, you'd actually get to 2 million. There's actually 5% of the time you get to 3 million color coded in gold. Now, this is a 35-year column. Look at the 40-year column, folks. Again, what I like to show you is the graph. If you can stay in it for the long term, you're going to get the compounding effect. If you can just there's going to be ups and downs, but look where you ultimately end up when you start staying in it for 40 years. 40 years, the worst case scenario then is 1.86 million, the median being 2.826. This is the buying power of these amounts, the median 866,000. And if you go over here to the year 45, worst case scenario, you're going to have $800,000 in buying power in 45 years. Now, what have we not taken into account? What happens if you already have some saved up? That's going to help the numbers even more. Say, for example, you are like 30 years old and you've already got 20,000 saved up. We're going to update this. Again, we're going to look at this 35-year column right here. Right now, you got the worst case scenario being 1.116 million. Watch this go up. See how much difference just that 20,000 can make. Again, sticking to the 6% rule, putting in $300 a month, but we are increasing it by 3% a year. Instead of 1.116, now you're up to 1.673 in the 35-year period. Let me click on that. So now you're 88% of the time, you're actually getting to $2 million in that 35-year period. If you already have 20,000 saved up, you save 6% of your income and you're making 60,000. I realize a lot of numbers I'm running here. Nobody's going to be identical to any of these numbers, but it shows you what we can do on this channel. It shows you, yes, 6% can work for you if you have the time. That is so crucial. If you have the time, if you already have some saved up, that can also compound. And again, if you just increase it by 3% a year, look at the difference that can make. But that's what we do on this channel. We run numbers for people, showing them that, yes, 6% can work for you. Now, if you wait and you have to do longer, then obviously you're going to have to put in a lot more money because you have a shorter period of time. So you're going to have these kind of numbers instead of these kind of numbers. But look what 5 years difference can make. Doubling, not quite doubling, but doubling from 35 years to 45 years amount you would have. But anyway, that's what we love to do on this channel. We love to run numbers for people. Please consider subscribing to this channel because that's what we do on this channel. We just run numbers. People give us their beginning balance, their monthly contribution, whether they want to increase it, tell me how long to run it, and we'll go ahead and run it. So please consider subscribing, share this channel with others, like the videos, let people know about this channel, and thanks so much for watching.